Good morning. I am Kimberly Dinwiddie, the Clackamas County Public Information Officer. Earlier today, the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners voted on an emergency declaration that allows county resources to be used in response to the Clackamas wildfires that we're seeing throughout the county. The dark clouds outside and the incoming reports of spreading danger is truly horrifying, and we realize it's causing a lot of anxiety. We're committed to providing resources to fire and to residents in order to stop the spread of these fires and keep people safe. This morning, we are joined by Clackamas Fire Chief Fred Charlton, Clackamas County Sheriff Craig Roberts, and Clackamas County Disaster Management Director Nancy Bush to provide an update on the fires and what you need to do to stay safe. And this information is important and it can save your life. So we hope you listen and apply what we have to offer. So I'll now turn it over to Fire Chief Fred Charlton.
Okay, good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Fred Charlton. I'm the Fire Chief of Clackamas Fire District Number 1 and also the Fire Defense Board Chief for Clackamas County. As we look outside, you see that the temperatures are starting to increase today. The winds are starting to pick up. That's a bad sign for trying to contain and suppress wildfires. Our firefighters have been working extremely hard within Clackamas County since about 6 p.m. Sunday night. So we're going on into a full day number 2 of trying to combat these horrific wildfires. We're really facing some challenges mainly around the weather, and the other round is getting resources. As you've seen, there's been a number of wildfires throughout the state of Oregon, so it's very difficult to get resources, but we're doing the best we can. Currently, we're focused on 4 major fires within Clackamas County. The first one is the Dowdy Road fire. That is in both Clackamas Fire District and Estacada Fire District. The next is a fire which came off the U.S. Forest Service land off of Mount Hood, and that is known as the Riverside Fire. And when it came into Estacada Fire District, it was estimated to be about 20,000 acres, and yesterday we understand that it moved about 17 miles in one day. So a couple hundred of those acres are now under our sort of direction, and we're working to help support those fire operations. And most notably, that area that's being impacted is the Hillock Burn community, and this is within Estacada. Next would be the Unger Fire. This is out in Colton Fire District. This started late Sunday afternoon, and we're working hard to try and contain that. Again, only one small fire that I'll talk about is contained. Everything else is very active at this time. Next is the Wilhoit Fire. This is south of the city of Molalla. This is a significant fire, and we have resources dedicated to that today. One little piece of success, we've had quite a few successes, but one would be the Spangler Road Fire, and this is along Highway 213. This did consume 2 structures, with one of them being a house. It was estimated at 10 acres, and that fire is under control. We're having a few challenges today. It's been difficult to get any of our air assets up to really give us the size and scope of these wildfires, but our initial estimates are about 22 structures that have been lost, about 600 structures which are threatened, and I would say that number will increase even during this press conference. We have significant fire behavior changes out in the fire area right now, and we've burned about 2,500 acres. So currently we're working with a number of state and local agencies. We have 10 fire departments helping support these fires. We just brought in the Oregon State Fire Marshal's office. They will be bringing in an incident management team, and they have dedicated an additional 4 task forces. Those task forces are made up of firefighters from around the state of Oregon. Also working with the Oregon Department of Forestry, this morning they have dedicated an additional 10 fire engines, 4 hand crews, and 6 dozers to help support our fire operations. Certainly Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, a great law enforcement partner for us within Clackamas County, Oregon State Police, and then Clackamas County. So really we're working collaboratively to help support the fire operations. We do have 2 evacuation sites set up. One is at Clackamas Community College, and the other is at Sandy High School. I think it's, nope, sorry. No, Sandy High School, Clackamas Community College. Well, these are dynamic times. With that, I think it's critically important that we continue to stress to the public the ready, set, go, or level 1, 2, 3. These are the evacuation levels. We have a number of our communities at level 3, some communities at level 2 and level 1. So again, we just ask that our communities check on one another, care for one another, be thankful and thoughtful of those who have lost their homes during these challenging times, but also when you're under a level 3 evacuation, that is the time to leave your home. So with that, we're working hard. As we shared yesterday, this has been a significant firefight. We're doing the very best we can, and we're working hard to protect our communities. So thank you.
Well, hi, good morning. My name is Craig Roberts, Sheriff with Clackamas County, and I just want to start out by thanking actually our local firefighters across Clackamas County. I was also on a statewide call, and I can just tell you firefighters across Oregon are really doing an amazing job in what I would describe as exceptionally challenging. So a big thanks to our firefighters. I also want to just say for us, it's been a long, difficult night. That this past evening, our office alongside local police agencies, along with the state police, literally went door to door, all the way from Colton to Malala, contacting every residence south of Highway 211 to ensure that they were notified that they needed to evacuate. The other thing that I think is also really important that you probably don't hear is that we have a number of both police officers and firefighters that are in these evacuation areas. And I can tell you that they're here at work doing what they can to help keep our communities safe. So I just think they're going above and beyond. I also want to make sure that this is perfectly clear because this is absolutely challenging and difficult times for all of us. But I can guarantee you, and want the public to know this, that we are working side by side with our law enforcement agencies, both locally and across the state, side by side with our firefighters, and coordination on a statewide level. So we're all working really hard. I want you to know that we're doing our very best. We ask for patience, and we're really asking you to really follow the directions when we're saying to evacuate, just as Chief Charlton had said, is we really need folks to evacuate when we ask you to do so. So thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Nancy Bush, our emergency manager.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I am Nancy Bush. I am the Director of Disaster Management here for Clackamas County. I, too, want to echo both what Chief Charlton and Sheriff Roberts has said. We just want to thank all of the firefighters, law enforcement, and all of you as well, for being diligent. When we ask you to evacuate, you evacuate. When we ask you to get ready, you're getting ready. You're asking questions, and we welcome those questions. But I just want to say thank you to this whole community because we have to pull together in order to get through this. So thank you. So since Tuesday, we have issued 35 evacuation orders, and we have reached over 16,000 contacts with those evacuation orders. I just want to say those are contacts, so you could have been contacted more than once, but that is how the system works. We are actively working on evacuation sites and shelters for people and for animals. And again, we do ask for your patience as we work through the number of people that we know that we're evacuating and trying to relocate. Currently, we have an evacuation site at Clackamas Community College where we are partnering with the Red Cross, and animals are still being accepted at the Clackamas County Fairgrounds, but we continue to look for new sites for both of those, and by the end of the day, we will have some new information out on our website and our social media where you can find help through us and the Red Cross. Also, just want everyone to be aware when you're traveling through the county, you are going to, may come across roads that are closed. Many times that happens very quickly. Again, we ask for your patience, but we have trees down, we have firefighters out there, we have our sheriff's office out there, you know, and the roads are closed for a reason. They're closed for, to keep you safe, they're closed to keep people out of evacuation sites, et cetera. So just keep that in mind as you're traveling through our county. Also, please remember we're in a pandemic. It's hard to forget some of those things, but we are. And the last thing that we want is a spike in COVID cases because of the sheltering that we're doing. So we're making every effort to make sure the shelters have PPE and also that the social distancing is maintained at those shelters. So we want to be sure that we can communicate with you as soon as possible. And we talked about all of our evacuation notices. So please, to receive those notices, if you go to our website for public alerts, then you can go to www.clackamas.us/DM, and there is a big button there for public alerts. You click on that, you can get signed up. Signing up for these alerts means that you'll receive our notifications on phone as well as your wireless emergency. You'll get also our wireless emergency alerts. We will continue to keep the public informed. Encourage you to look at our website, which is at www.clackamas.us/wildfires. And you can find a banner on our front page too at clackamas.us at the top. And if you click on that, it takes you right to that site as well. We also will be posting on our Twitter and Facebook at Clackamas County. And again, please sign up for our wireless alerts. Thank you.
So we'll now open it up for questions, and before you give your question, if you can please state your name, organization, and who your question is directed to, and the question itself. In the back.
Hi, Lishay Wesley with K2 News. This is for fire officials. I was wondering if you could give us an idea of the locations of the fires that have been damaged or destroyed by the fire. If you can give us an idea maybe on the map, because I know people want to know. And then what exactly type of resources have you been asking for? What does the county really need?
Sure, yeah, thank you for that question. So as far as where we have lost structures, that would be within all 4 of those fires, all 5 of those fires that we talked about. So again, one of the fires is out along Highway 224 as you're traveling towards the community of Estacada. One of the fires is coming down Highway 224 if you were to leave Clackamas, or the city of Estacada and move up the Clackamas River drainage. So that's where that largest fire is coming in. The other one is out off of Beaver Creek Road, which is sort of on the south end of Clackamas County, out in Colton Fire District. And then the other is out south of the city of Molalla. So it's really within those 4 or 5 fires really throughout Clackamas County. As far as the resources that we have been asking for, certainly right now our priorities are around life safety, and that is the evacuation of residents throughout our communities that are directly impacted or potentially threatened. And the next would be structural protection. So we're using a combination of firefighting resources to help protect structures and try and begin to suppress the fire. We have been looking for some air assets to come in and help do some fire suppression efforts. Again, we've had some challenges with the wind. We've had some challenges with the availability of the resources. And then certainly we've tried to get out and do a better job of estimating the size and potential of these fires, but they're very dangerous at this time, and we're combating, again, the high winds and really the intense smoke out there. So we feel encouraged with the support of the Oregon Department of Forestry and the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office that they will help support the sort of initial operations that we have started.
Chief Rosemary Reynolds from KXL Radio. So if you're able to get air resources in and the winds subside, do you think you will accomplish a lot more than you're able to right now?
I think we will. So we'll have to evaluate the 4 fires and really where the suppression efforts are most needed. And again, some of these fires, especially driven by the strong winds, as soon as they get up into the crowns of the trees, they move very quickly. And that's where some of the air operations can help, or even getting in front of these fires so we can begin to slow them down. So we may not suppress the fire, but at least if we can cut it off or slow it down, then we can begin to contain it into one area.
Best case scenario, when do you think that we could get people back into their homes in the evacuation areas?
I don't have an estimate right now. I think this is certainly still an expanding incident. It's very dynamic. I think our focus right now is around life safety, and if we have to get residents out of their homes, we have to focus on evacuation, and then we'll look down the road in a coordinated effort to sort of begin what recovery looks like, but I do not have an estimate for you right now.
Fire Chief, I'm Jacqueline Abad with Point 6 News. Can you go over, I know that you guys are still trying to get a scope of how many acres have burned, but you mentioned 2,500 acres, is that correct, as far as what you know so far?
That is, and that would be a combination of the 4 or 5 fires, and in this case, we would be taking out that larger fire, which really began up on the U.S. Forest Service land. So we're just looking at the fires that have sort of come off of the U.S. Forest Service land and are beginning to impact Clackamas County.
And also taking a look at this map, we've heard from some residents who are concerned about, some of the perimeters on this map are not kind of designated. You can't really see the perimeters of individual fires on this map. Is that a concern as far as what people should know when looking at this map?
Well, I think I may ask Emergency Manager Nancy Bush maybe talk just a little bit about the evacuation map and how it was put together. And if you'd like, I can stay for 1 or 2 more questions before we turn over.
I just want to clarify, Monica Samayo with OPB. So as of now, firefighters are just worried or focused on life safety and not containing fires at the moment?
No, we're working hard to contain the fires, but certainly we need to look at the path of the fire, what structures or what residents, whether those are permanent residents, those are recreating or just coming into Clackamas County or trying to leave Clackamas County. So it's definitely a combination, but certainly our focus is on life safety.
Jim Go with the Oregonian, just on that note, are any of the fires you mentioned any percentage contained, or is there a timeline that you anticipate when you could start seeing containment?
I don't have an estimate on containment. I can get with our incident commanders. Certainly at night, we've seen that fire behavior begin to die down a little bit. We've had great success Sunday night and Monday night in starting to begin to contain these fires. But as we saw just on the way to the press conference, as the winds pick up, again, it's going to be hot and dry this afternoon. Some of these fires flare back up. So sort of our night operations are a great opportunity to try and get a handle on these fires. It also potentially is one of the most dangerous times for us to be trying to fight these fires.
Can you just kind of explain the terrain that you're working in? Is it steep? Is it down? Is it flat?
It's all the above. It's a fairly good representation of Clackamas County. We have some open grasslands, we have some timbered areas, we have some canyons, some ravines. Certainly as you begin to get up into the Clackamas River drainage, it gets very challenging up there. So I would say we're dealing with all terrain types right now.
Eric Patterson with KGW. What are your biggest concerns or worries right now with a certain kind of fuel that's feeding these fires?
I think our focus right now is we have three of the 4 major fires, just understanding their direction of travel and is it potential for them to converge together. So we're working hard to try and contain them and not sort of create a larger fire. So just understanding we're sort of at their mercy and certainly at the mercy of the weather, but just trying to understand where they're going and how we can really try and get ahead of that.
I'm not seeing the fires up here, so I'm not aware. I'm just going to ask, is there any fear that any of these fires might merge together?
Potentially, and again, we're out evaluating that right now. We're working hard to try and really contain the 4 large fires and keep them within their area. Geographically, some are fairly far apart, which is good for us. In another case, some may touch in the future. Again, we're really at the mercy of the weather right now.
Is there any specific ones that people should kind of keep an eye on?
No, I would keep an eye on all of them, yeah.
Is the 2,500 acres, just to be clear, because you talked about the Riverside Fire being substantially larger, can you just clarify what you mean by 2,500 versus the?
Sure. So we asked our incident commanders this morning to do an estimate of their fires. And again, it's just an estimate. They're estimating between those 4 fires about 2,500 acres burned. And then the Riverside Fire, as we understand from the U.S. Forest Service, we just looked this morning, they had that at about 20,000 acres. So we've sort of separated the two.
Is there any sense of the cause of the fires at this point?
We don't know right now. We haven't entered into the fire investigation phase. We're really working on fire suppression efforts.
So just to clarify, those 4 fires, 2,500 acres, that Riverside Fire, 20,000 acres.
That's what we understand from the U.S. Forest Service.
Okay. And the Riverside Fire, that's the new one that popped up, correct?
This is a fire that came to our attention, I will say probably Monday morning. I believe it was up in the Mount Hood National Forest. The U.S. Forest Service was combating this fire, and then it left their area and started to come down towards Estacada.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much for the question on the map. So the fires were up there yesterday. We're not sure why they disappeared. But I think what's been happening, of course, things are changing very, very quickly. We were still issuing evacuation orders very late last night. So we will make sure that the fires do get back up there. I do want to point out that if you'll look at the top left-hand corner, there's a place for people to put in their address to see what area they are in for the county, in Clackamas County. So when you pull up this site, please put in your address if you have any question at what level of evacuation you are.
Okay, that concludes our press briefing for today. We will be putting out more information this afternoon about evacuation check-ins, and we'll let you guys know when our next press briefing will be. So thank you all for coming today.